Hello and welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage, and today we're going to be having a look at Ethereum. Before we jump into the price action, I'd just like to say thank you for watching. If you're enjoying the content, please smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to Discord. Come check it out. It is free to join. Okay, so let's get into the fun stuff now. So basically what we were looking at in the previous video is, we were talking about the possibility this high could be in here. So we haven't actually invalidated any extension yet. That would only come by crossing this 1461. And until we do, even though it is less likely, there is still that possibility that this whole move down could still be a wave two. But it is starting to get quite disproportionate to this wave one. So I'm starting to like the idea less and less. But however, as long as we actually hold this zone here, we can still look for the potential to actually push up in a third wave here. So, like I said, it's not as likely in my opinion, but really, as long as we hold this 786 zone, this 1516, potentially we can still look for a move to the upside, whether that is just as an A, a B, and a C, or alternatively as a bigger five-wave move here. So if we did have to get a three-wave move up here, I'd have to start reevaluating the structure, and then potentially from back here, we could have a bigger flat correction playing out, which it wouldn't really fit this current count because that would be quite a big fourth wave within this move here, and it would start to, like I said, fit the count less. So we'd have to just keep an eye on it, but it is still a possibility that we could still see potentially a move up here, um, even though it is not my primary count, from our current location. 1 to 1 would actually be this 1842. So if we do get another five-wave structure up here, we'd have to be mindful of looking out for that zone. However, we have actually managed to break out of this channel line that we were, or this channel that we were in, and we are also broken back into the channel that we had broken out of. So, these two things could lead to us having continuation to the downside here. We're going to have to keep an eye on the structures. Okay, so let's go over some of the other options that I'm looking at. So within this, currently this is my best interpretation of it. I'm looking at this as an A wave down, looking at this as a B wave, and then looking for that potential of that C wave to the downside. So this can always change. This could always, become a WXY. If we do get this five wave move down, we could see another three wave move to the upside, and then a continuation down with another five wave move. So we need to bear that in mind. This five-wave move could potentially look to complete this move in the C wave, and then we could either, like I said, get a smaller three-wave pattern up and we continue, and then this becomes a W, an X, and a Y to the downside. Or alternatively, this could then become a bigger A wave. We come back up for a B wave, look to potentially come and retest this zone of the 1694 to the 1631, and then actually look for further rejection from there. So this is what I'm keeping an eye out for in the bigger picture here. So within this structure that we currently have here, the way I'm looking at it is that we have a fourth wave correction in here. So now within this structure, it is getting quite choppy in here. So we've got a couple of possibilities within this. The maximum we want to come really is the 1600 area with this fourth wave, but we'd also want this to start to play out now to the downside fairly soon, because otherwise it starts to become once again quite big in relation to this into this wave two up here. So I'm looking at this wave two as a flat correction in here, just because of the fact that we seem to have this five wave move here, and we can count a five wave move into this zone here. So this does fit the current count. It can, however, change, obviously. These things, subwave counting can be a little bit tricky at times, so just need to bear that in mind. If we did move up one more time here, and we actually look to push up higher, this zone here of this 1583 would be a 1 to 1 of this first move here. So if we do actually get a move up here, and we get something like this rather, where this becomes a W and X, and then we get a Y, potentially we could come back up and retest the top of this channel, or this 382, which is sitting at this 1587. There is also this middle channel line looking at this from the top here. Like I said, this channel's just been drawn off these highs here and projected down to this low. So it's not a perfect channel, but it's something that I'm just tracking the move with, potentially down. So what I'm looking at is here that we could have this as a WX and a Y. Alternatively, the other way we can look at this move is that potentially if we are looking for a fourth wave, there is always that possibility that we have a triangle within here. And basically what we'd be looking at then would be that possibility that within here we have this as an A, B, potentially a C wave into there. This could even be a D and an E. So, we could see this um, develop as a much smaller triangle within the structure here, where this becomes basically an A, B, C, D, and an E. However, it's not great that this D wave hasn't come down deeper here. So we also need to just bear in mind, it could still be in play where this D is becoming a double zigzag or something where that's A, B, and then we push one more down one more time for that D wave, and then we get that E wave up. So I'm keeping an eye on this. If we did have to just reject, so if we form a smaller move here as an A, B, and a C, which doesn't manage to break above this 1577 range, and then we start to form five-wave structure that actually breaks this B wave low here, then that's the best interpretation I'd have for it, is that we have completed a smaller triangle in here, and then effectively we'd be looking for this fifth wave to the downside. So current fifth wave targets are sitting at this 1534 to this 1518. That would also tie in with actually retesting this bottom channel line. So we need to just keep an eye around that area. Like I said, that 1-to-1 is lower at this 1499, potentially looking to come back and actually retest that 1500 area as a psychological level maybe, and then looking for how we progress from there. Like I said, so once we do complete this five-wave move down here, either we could be setting up for a bigger move here where we get a bigger three-wave move to the upside, looking to push up, potentially challenging this B wave high here. Or alternatively, we could actually just look to form a smaller five-wave move here that if we had to come back and retest this channel, let's say we tested that channel, 50% would be here at this 1596. 618 would be 1615, and then the highest would really want to come would be this 1642 at a 786 retracement. So be interesting to keep an eye on, depending on how deep we come here. That would change these targets a little bit. So keep an eye on that. I am expecting to see an additional push to the downside. The only way that I would not look at that anymore is if we do manage to move back above the 1600 area, and if we do manage to break back up into this zone and find support back above this channel, then we could be looking at a situation where we start to actually get a progression to the upside here. Um, the problem is then we'd be left with this really strange structure that we'd have to just say is a three-wave move at that point, or alternatively, I was looking at this a little bit earlier, but it's not my favorite interpretation of it. We could argue that within here, we could have had a truncation on the fifth, but the problem is with this, it doesn't really fit the diagonal in the sense that the fifth wave isn't really long enough to be counted as a diagonal pattern within there. So that's why I'm not really looking at that, and it's dangerous to sort of try count truncations. Uh, in real time, because these can always extend out. So that is another thing I actually wanted to talk about. Um, we also do need to be careful within here that we don't get something like this where we do get an extension to the downside again, where that becomes a 1-2 and actually we look to progress even lower. But like I said, I don't really like counting it that way just because of the fact of, this fifth wave isn't really long enough. So I'm just treating it as a corrective structure for now. We'll have to see how that plays out. But like I said, we could see this move one more time up here, potentially coming up into the zone, retesting maybe the center line here, this 1587 would be an interesting zone, as well as some of these channel tops here, which would be the 1600 area, and potentially, depending on how long it takes, it would be around that 1600. But we would also first need to break back out of this potential channel that we are in now, which is currently sitting towards this 1584. So yeah, this 1587 is going to be an interesting area if we do move back up. But technically speaking, we have moved the minimum requirement for this fourth wave, so we could still be looking for this fifth wave to the downside. So that's what we're currently looking at within the structure. Um, like I said, once we get this move down here, we're gonna have to see how this plays out. If we get a bigger three-wave move, then there's that potential for continuation down. Alternatively, from here, we'll be looking out for that smaller retracement, potentially coming back, maybe retesting this channel, getting a further rejection and coming back, and then basically this whole move would be a W, an X, and then a Y wave to the downside. And then from there, we would be tracking the move to the upside and seeing how that progresses. Ideally, what we want to see is a bigger move down into this 1448 to this 1192, looking for this as a B wave or a wave 2. We did also talk about it previously that we need to just be a little bit careful that this high here could be the completion of a corrective move as well. And that could be a C wave completed, in which case that would potentially mean that we actually come back down and we look to take this 1075 zone. So need to just be aware of that fact that there is still that potential to actually have that downside. We just need to see whether this can prove itself. This move needs to find support above this zone. Well, really above the 786 at a maximum. I would want to see that, and then basically look for additional 5-wave structure to the upside. And then depending on how high that 5-wave move goes, if it only comes to 1-to-1, then that would then make me treat this as a B wave, and then potentially we could actually look to break down lower again from that point. However, we need to be monitoring this because this could turn into a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, and then we get a bigger push to the upside. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. But yeah, that's my primary expectation here is that we still do have a little bit more downside here. We'll have to see what happens once we move down here. If we fail to retake these high points on the way down, there is that potential we could start to see some extension. And even within this move here, if we complete this 5-wave move and we fail to take this high, we just need to be careful that we don't get a bigger third wave, fourth wave, fifth wave playing out here, where this becomes a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we actually look to push down deeper, looking for that deeper retracement potentially into this B wave location. So yeah, I mean, if we do drop down, an interesting area will actually be this previous fourth wave here, this 1461. That could be a zone we look to retest if we are looking for that potential upside here. Doesn't have to, but we could also just blast through this. Like we were saying in the previous video, I am currently, even though it's not my favorite count at the moment, there is still the potential you could argue that within this move you had a diagonal pattern there within this as A, B, and then either a C wave, or alternatively that could then become a 1, 2. And then if we do have a more substantial move here down past this 1397, so this would have to be a more direct sell-off situation where potentially, like I said, form 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. And then we actually come back up here for another fourth and a fifth. And then if we do get that as a bigger 5-wave structure here, we'd have to see exactly what happens after this. If we just get a 3-wave move up, then we'd be looking for that continuation to the downside. However, if we do get this 5-wave move here, we'd have to just be cautious we don't have something like this playing out where we have a flat in this position, and we're looking at this as, instead of a 5-wave move here, we'd have to then treat it as a B wave, but we'd only get confirmation about that by actually coming back and taking this high. So, this is all sort of speculative at the moment. We got to just see what happens within the structure, but I am keeping an eye out. If we do complete this 5-wave structure here, when we get a 3-wave move that fails to break back through the 1644 to this, fails to break above the 1644 range and above the 1677. If it does, we could be setting up for this bigger wave 3, looking to push down towards this 1397 zone. So we're going to keep an eye on this. This rejection, if we do move back up, rejection in this zone could be seen as a weakness within the market, and then we could actually see that deeper sell-off coming in. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It is free to join. Once in the general chat area, just mention a member of staff. We'll be happy to help you out with anything you may need. Also in the description, you'll find affiliate links for both BYBIT and PrimeXBT. Check them out for yourselves. They really are great exchanges that we use when we do our trading. Using the affiliate link does support the channel, and we do appreciate that. Everyone, have a great weekend. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.